Hi guys, it's Sophie. So today I'm filming a video talking about your assumptions about me. Lots of people have done this one already and I really like watching them, so I wanted to make one of my own. So I asked you guys on Instagram what you thought about me in terms of like, what did you assume about me that I haven't necessarily told you? So I'm going to go through some of them now and then like demyth the myths and tell you more about the ones that are true. You were happy when high school ended even though you had good grades. Yeah, I would say that that's true. I have quite fond memories of school as a whole, but I really wasn't very well by the time I got to the end of my sixth form years, which is what I'm counting as high school for me because it's before I went to university. And I really wasn't in a good place at all. A lot of the friends I had at the time had distanced themselves from me because I wasn't so unwell, and I felt very alone and very disconnected from people there, and I just did want to go. And I did get good grades, that's true as well. So yeah, I'd say that one is, that assumption is true. And it's not that I didn't like school, I liked school a lot. There were bits of school that I thought were fabulous and I think on really positively. But by the time we got to the end, yeah, I was ready for it to end. You are a morning person. That's quite a complicated one. I would kind of say yes, but with caveats. So say for example now I'm filming at 9:30 in the morning, which is the morning, and I tend to be more productive between like 9 and 12, I would say, than any other time of the day. So if you're counting it by that, yes, morning person. The reason there's a caveat is because one of the pills I take is a pill called Seroquel or quetiapine, and it gives you like a sedation hangover in the mornings. So I really like the mornings, and when I wasn't on Seroquel, which I've been on for a while now, I've been on for like 2 years, and one day maybe I'll be able to come off it. But it makes you very drowsy and very sleepy and very out of it for kind of 12 hours since you've taken it. And it acts for me in about an hour and a half. So I take it at 8 PM. So I'm kind of like can't really do anything, read or watch stuff properly after about like 9:30. And then I have to get up and get in my car at 7:30, but it's completely worn off by the time I'm at work. So I would much prefer not to have to take it and have like natural good mornings. But at the moment mornings are quite hard and I have to like lose quite a lot of my evenings to get myself an okay morning. So hopefully one day I'll be able to come off it and I will be able to enjoy my mornings properly again, because I do think they're one of my favourite parts of the day. You're an intellectual and a perfectionist. I don't know how to talk about like the intellectual part. I find that quite challenging. What I would say about that is that I care a lot about knowledge. Knowledge is one of the things that drives me, and I want to learn things and understand things and people, and that is a big part of my life. So class that as you will. With the perfectionist part, I would say yes, kind of. I used to be a proper perfectionist. Like if I'd done something and it wasn't perfect, why bother doing it? So kind of perfectionism to the nth degree where it wasn't very helpful. And I think I'm now at a place where I really value good standard in my work, but I can also have a bit of like leeway if I know that it's not as brilliant as I could have ever done in my whole life, but it's still pretty damn good and it's good enough. So I think I've worked on that. One thing I would say is I'm definitely like a planner, and that can come across as like quite perfectionist sometimes. I need to have everything set out and organised, and I tend to be like a spreadsheet person, so I'm definitely a planner. I think I'm naturally a perfectionist, and I've tempered that a little to make it a bit more workable. You regret spending so much money on your around the world book challenge. Yeah, I do. I didn't end up enjoying the challenge very much. I had to buy books ahead of time because they were really hard to find, and a lot of them were like really expensive. So I ended up buying quite a few books ahead of time. Not loads, I would say like the most I had at one point was probably like 30 or 40, which isn't like a massive TBR. But when I lost energy, I just didn't want those books in my life anymore. And some of them I'm sure are brilliant, and it's not to do that, not to kind of shit on them. But it was just making me feel like I'd failed this challenge, and I do regret spending the money on it. That said, while some of the books were really expensive, it isn't something that like haunts me at night that I spent this money. I just kind of wish that I'd spent money on things I would have enjoyed more. But when I started doing the challenge, I thought I was really going to enjoy it. So it's kind of like you know, it's like anything that you think will make you happy or you think you'll enjoy, and you end up not liking it as much as you do. So when I realised I wasn't enjoying it so much, I stopped buying, and I was reading through the ones I had. And you know, they've all had new homes. I gave them all to charity, and I think they made like a couple £100 back from the books that I gave and some books I unhauled. So it feels like they're doing good anyway. So whilst I do regret spending the money on them, and I kind of regret having so many of them that I had to end up getting rid of because I was just done with it, at least it's not all negative. You don't need to love every book that you read. Yes, that's definitely true. I don't feel that I love a fair few of the books that I read, and I'm absolutely fine with that. A good example of that was recently, which I haven't spoken about yet, but I'm going to do a video on it when I get bored of it, so that I can tell you like what it was like. But I'm listening to quite a few of the classics that I missed out on as a kid. I read quite a lot of classics when I was like 10, 11, and I made a video that's one of my like more popular videos talking about like classic snobbery and how that has led me to not want to read them. But recently I used the Scribed app and was downloading like classic books onto that app, and ended up listening to Jane Eyre, Pride and Prejudice, and midway through Wuthering Heights. Pride and Prejudice I really didn't like, okay, so this is where it links back in, but I'm still really glad I read it. And the reason I'm glad I read it is because I feel like it's a book that I'm glad I have an opinion on, and that is valuable for me even if I didn't love it. I also like, I can quite enjoy books where I really don't love it, but it's challenging and I get something else from it. So maybe it's like a really meaty non-fiction book that I'm kind of like not flying through and adoring and want to share with everyone, but I'm still like, oh, that was cool, I learned this. So yeah, I definitely don't have to love books to read them and still enjoy them. It's just a slightly separate, I have kind of enjoyment and then other things I weigh up and I want something from them, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like adoration. You are a cat person. Yes, I am a cat person. So we had cats and dogs growing up, or rather cats and a dog growing up. And I really loved our little dog when the big dog, when she was in our life as a child, but I've never had the same like affinity for dogs that I have for cats. I think they're cute, I think they're cool, I think it's awesome that you can take them wherever you go. I get jealous of dog people that they can take their pet wherever they choose. But I love cats so much, and cats are definitely the animal I would choose if I had to have one or the other in my life. And you know, kind of that's the choice I make. So the dogs I most like tend to be bigger breeds of dogs. And quite a few of the bigger breeds of dogs I would be more interested in have quite high like prey reflexes, and small furry rabbit-like foz would not mix well with that, and that's a choice I'm absolutely fine with. I don't feel like I would lose out if I didn't have dogs in my life, and I definitely do if I felt I couldn't have cats. You don't enjoy shopping and you like to keep your possessions minimal, except for books. Yes, 100%. And I want to talk a bit more about this. I haven't really spoken about this much on the channel, but a while ago, and I mean a while ago, it was probably when I was about 20, I feel like I was very much like into buying stuff to try and make me happy. I wasn't very happy, and I thought that the thing was going to make me happy, and I bought a lot of beauty products. I used to watch a lot of beauty YouTube, and if you know me, I'm not someone who's massively into makeup or all of that sort of thing. I'm just kind of acceptable levels or none. So I bought a lot of that thinking that was going to make me really happy. I bought a lot of clothes thinking that the clothes that were in season or fashion were going to make me happy. And I bought stuff, and I got to the stage where I was realising that when I did my clear outs like once a year, I was throwing away so much of the stuff I'd bought and that it hadn't made me happy. And it didn't come in like a single day. I didn't look at all the stuff and then suddenly decide. But over time, I've become more and more aware of what I do buy. Quite often I'll see things and I'll think, will I love you still in like 3 years' time? And I will decide I don't know, and that means I don't get it. So I don't think I'm like a proper minimalist, but I would say what I own is like pretty minimal, especially clothes. I keep all my clothes in like one drawer. I don't have a wardrobe, and I probably have like 6 or 7 t-shirts at any one time, 2 pairs of jeans, and then a set of work dresses and a set of home dresses, and that's kind of like about it. But I really like that. I really like knowing the things I have I really enjoy. Books are my exception. I love books, I love being surrounded by books, and if I'm going to make space in my house, books are what I'd want to be filling them with. I think that question of will I love this in 3 years or will this bring me joy is answered yes when I think about books, and that's why it's different. But I mean, like, I could, you've seen my house, and I know you've seen my house as you like spin it around, but like we don't have a lot of stuff. The other thing I have quite a lot of actually is houseplants, which again I think fall in a slightly different category. I love them, they're alive, they again like bring me joy. I like that you have a plant for a long period of time and it grows and changes, and that suits me really well. But I'm definitely not someone who likes bits of stuff. Eventually it just feels a bit overwhelming, and I think the kind of clarity and cleanness of my home and the lack of stuff in it can just really calm me. So yeah, definitely that's true. I'm well picked up on, because I really don't think I've spoken about this on this channel before. You are highly intelligent. So this is a bit of an awkward one to answer, because it's quite hard to like judge yourself. And I think either way that I would answer it, I'll either come across as like modest or conceited. And I don't think I want to be either. Again, I think I'd refer back to the question about you're an intellectual, in that knowledge is something that's really important to me, and my brain has always been far more important to me than the way I look, or and the way I behave. What I know in my brain and the way I behave are probably the most important things about me. I'd be far more proud to feel like I knew more than I would that I looked a certain way, or that I like had all the nice things. So in terms of like my priorities, intellectual stuff is higher than material stuff, or like my own appearance, all that kind of like, I'm very ambitious, but all that kind of like, I have to be the best feeling in me. So it's the most important thing for me is like, what this world is massive and exciting and full of strange people and like strange things, and I want to know as much as I can about where we are on the universe and all of those things. So that's kind of as much as I can answer on that, I think, is that it'd be hard for me to judge myself on a scale. I've only done like IQ tests when I was very young, and I think like I can tell you that it's a priority for me, but I couldn't tell you like on a measure where I sit. You come from a privileged background. I would say yes. Again, like slightly with caveats. So I've definitely come from a middle class family the whole way through my life, and I'm not going to argue that I'm not, and I'm working class or anything. But my family isn't, like, my family's in the middle, so I'm not the kind of person who like had like all the different things they want, but I've also had lots of different opportunities that people who didn't have so much income have had. So things like, I went to private school, but I was a scholarship student, and I had a 50% scholarship, so we could afford it, and if I hadn't had the scholarship I couldn't have gone. So it's kind of like, yes, I think yes to that answer, but also like, I don't want you guys to think I'm like, you know, like a third cousin of the Duchess of somewhere or whatever. And we are still very much like a pub family rather than like a posh restaurant family and all of that stuff. So I would say, yeah, middle class. I don't think I'm like highly privileged, but I definitely have had a privileged upbringing, like if you looked at the wide scope of things. You don't listen to a lot of music. So I think this is the only one that I can say outright is like a myth. I actually really do like my music, but I tend to be quite obsessive with it, so I might choose like a song or an artist or an album, and I'll just play it over and over and over and over again, rather than listening to a lot of different kinds of music. And I tend to like listen to the same thing until I know it, like back to back, upside down, and I'll sing bits of it like around the house, like in the shower or in my car or whatever. But yeah, so I do really like it. I would say I listen to a lot less music now than I used to when I was a teenager. That used to be like a backdrop to absolutely everything. And whilst I still quite like music in the evenings, I think it's less like constant than it used to be. But it does like, I like quite like bassy music as well, which I don't think people would necessarily assume about me. Like that sort of like drum and bass stuff I quite often listen to, or like trap. So that might not be necessarily what you think I listen to, and it's not all of what I listen to. I do like some like croony, acoustic-y people as well. But loud music is something I actually really enjoy. Yeah, so I would say that one's a myth. And the last assumption is that you want to change your career eventually. And I don't know the answer to this one yet, so I can't say if that's true or false. I've always been told like that I'm the kind of person who's likely to have like a 2 or 3 career life, if that makes sense. So I may well do something until I feel like I've done it as far as it can go, and then say, actually, I'm going to try and do something else. And both of my parents have done that, so that isn't like an unusual thing in my family. Like my mum was a nurse her whole life and then went off and was a lawyer for a while, and now she's in like management in the NHS. And my dad worked in finance and he then worked as a mental health nurse in the NHS. So we definitely like switch and swap around, and I think that's really cool. But at the moment where I am, I'm really happy, and I'm really happy with what I'm doing, and I don't feel like I've got to the end of where I want to be with it. So it's like, it's not a no, but it's also a, I need to have more like life gone through before I know the answer to that, definitely. I have definitely thought about going back to university at some point, like through the Open University, and studying a different degree, because I still have quite a lot of shame about not being able to complete my first degree because I wasn't very well. So that's something I might do when I'm a little older, to kind of prove to myself that I can still do stuff like that. But I don't know at the moment whether or not I'll be looking to change my career entirely. Okay, so those are your assumptions about me. Hopefully you've enjoyed hearing me natter on about them. I've actually really enjoyed making this video. It was very different and fun. Yes, so I hope you're all well. Foz has obviously now decided that she loves me. She was the one chasing around earlier on in the video. The cats chase one another, so if you heard like the pattering of tiny feet, that was that. Yes, so I'll see you guys again next week for another video, and look after yourselves until then. Bye!